There. Ooh.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
And here we are on a beautiful, sunny Thursday afternoon
Tis.
for episode number
11. I don't have
season.
a bell. 4.
Yay! Sounds like we're really doing a lot of work here.
Yeah. Well, you got me in my informal position here.
Yeah, me too.
But we're kind of reflecting the informality of the situation.
The situation, yeah.
Yeah. The situation is not what I expected to be talking about today, which is the nothing burger. I call it a nothing burger that we got from Washington vis-a-vis the tariffs in Canada and Mexico.
Yeah.
Orange Man wasn't quite the boogeyman that people had him made out to be, because in fact, nothing really happened. That was, what was unexpected in my view is that nothing really happened.
Yeah.
When he was showing that cardboard placard or whatever with all the countries that he was listing there that had all these tariffs, and he was showing this in the Rose Garden. When I couldn't see Canada on that list, I thought, oh, this is going to be something really awful coming down the pike. And then it was all over, and essentially was exactly what was said in the run up to this, with the steel and aluminum tariffs and the cars, finished cars, but not quite the exact tariff, because they finally figured out that a lot of the parts in that finished car going to the States was American parts.
Yeah.
So in the end, I understood today that the actual machinery of this tariff imposition has a lot of remissions in it for the parts.
Well, and you've got to sit back and think that it's not just as simple as ABC on this kind of stuff. It's been so intertwined for 50 years that trying to dig that out is trying to find who's the owner of a numbered company in the Seychelles. It's next to impossible.
Or Bermuda.
No, we know that one.
Well, the interesting thing is, even though not being a legal beagle or a lawyer or anything like that, it appears to me that what the Americans did was strictly in conformance with the trade agreement that they dreamt up
6 years ago.
6 years ago, exactly. Yeah. So I suspect that their legal team said, we can jerk around some of these other places with these tariffs, but with Mexico and Canada, we could end up having egg on our face with legal challenges, and that would be appropriate, in fact. So, what we talked about before was, it looks very much like this whole thing is nothing more than a negotiation tactic that they're playing, leading up to a renegotiation of the agreement between Canada and the U.S., or Canada, U.S., Mexico. Although I don't think we have anything to particularly gain by including Mexico. I think you really have to have a bilateral fix up on this once and for all. And I understand from Poilievre's comments yesterday, or maybe it was today, on one of the media outlets. He said first thing he would do is go to Washington and arrange to reopen the USMCA or CUSMA or whatever, and fix that once and for all, and with the intent of driving it to no tariffs, basically, and that would be it. Of course, you and I both know there are some people who won't go for that, particularly in certain sectors, be that the dairy industry in Canada, or the softwood lumber issue with the mills. We just have some intransigent players, and in spite of all this, flag waving talk that we get at the moment about there shouldn't be tariffs between the provinces and blah blah blah. I don't see that really.
Well, pretty soon we'll all be riding around on those unicorns, I'm sure. But
Yeah, or gathering fairy dust.
off the unicorns.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But all seriousness, I think we're not dodging a bullet. I think what we have to do is basically get this election over with, and go in with a serious team of negotiators.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Yeah, not bureaucrats, not politicians. I think we need to get business people in there and get the
Absolutely.
business people start looking at this. You've got a bunch of people who, by the way, April 1st, happy April Fool's Day to us in Canada. The MPs all got a wage increase.
Yes, they did. I saw that. Some of them got $6,000 or more.
Or more, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
the average backbench salary now in Canada is $209,000, $2,908 a year.
Now, don't you think that's kind of cheeky that they would actually do that when they're not even sitting in Parliament? They haven't done anything since September. Frankly, why didn't I'd expect this from the Liberals. We'll just take our money and run, even though we're doing nothing. I'm astonished that the Conservatives and didn't say no. This is not the appropriate time. Am I wrong?
Whether they ended up taking it or not, I think part of this is that it's just some legislation that was passed eons ago that April 1st was kind of the day that they did this. They're great at giving themselves lots of money, but not so much the civil service, the armed forces, the police forces, and around. You have to fight like heck to get anything. But I think their salary is based on the top 100 corporations, and then it's a percentage of that. So it's pretty hard to lose on that one.
Wow. Well, I just think it's a little unprincipled. It's like, I'm sorry, but I would have expected more from these guys, frankly.
Well, you're right. And I mean, yeah, maybe it's legislated, maybe it comes through, but it should be a good talking point.
Yeah, but at least at least say that, okay, I'm forced to take it. It's going to be, on my bank account, whether I like it or not, because we agreed on this. But I feel somewhat reticent to take. I mean, something, but not even a peep. Had you not brought this up, I wouldn't even remember that this happened. They're making out like bandits. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
While the regular folks are eking it out. Listen, I heard today that in the U.S. there are over 1 million car repos this month because people can't pay their car loans, and that's astonishing.
Well, that's right up here with, what is it, 1 million people are in food banks up here,
Okay,
That's
there's
a lot.
another. I mean, we can rip off lots of these terrible news stories off the internet, or even mainstream media occasionally will bring it up, but we're in tough shape here, and so things like that I think get under my skin anyway.
I kind of wonder whether this whole issue of the tariffs and U.S. bad, Canada good is designed like we've always done before with a magician. That's the right hand focusing on what they want us to focus on, when in reality it's our economy and how close are we to the big R word here?
Yeah, I think we're already in the R word, frankly. But you pointed something out earlier about how long does this name calling go on before it starts to become a real problem with our communities. I mean, I hear some of the silliest anti-American slogans being bandied about, and now occasionally I'll go on the internet and I'm starting to see very similar negative comments about Canadians
Hmm.
by certain groups of ill-educated or whatever Americans, because I don't know what I mean. But this is something that if it gets out of hand, it will have long-term repercussions. Why are we allowing this toxic talk to proceed? And I'm really hoping that at the end of the month we have this election, and regardless of which of these jokers, and I use the term loosely, is prime minister, that the first thing they do is they try to, still the waters a little bit,
Well, now,
and bring down this rhetoric, which is totally unnecessary. I mean, you may not like the policies, but this is not about calling our neighbors names, you know.
oh,
But
but you mentioned that too before. It was in Eastern Europe where you had friends and family living right next door to each other, and they were marrying their. And the fact that one was a Serb and one was a Croat had absolutely nothing to do. And they wake up one morning and they're bitter enemies. They're fighting.
yes, yeah.
It doesn't take much.
No, and we live in a era of people don't seem to have any guardrails on what they say.
Yeah,
Which is, I think, is a new phenomenon in relative terms. But now with excuse me, this sort of social and economic hard times. Okay, might as
yeah.
well say it. Some people are saying things I don't think they would say if they were, thinking before they put their mouth in gear.
Well, some of that has to come over the last 5 years with COVID, where we sit around the house and we can do it on the internet because it's easy to slag somebody in a comment page or in an email. A lot more difficult to do it face to face. And like, I'm sorry, I keep on wondering about some of our illustrious hockey fans that think it's okay to boo the anthem. And I'm thinking, well, you're booing the anthem, but you're also booing players that have really nothing to do with the issues that are going on. How many Americans are on Canadian teams? How many Canadians are on American teams? I mean,
Precisely.
you know, we have to get back to this whole idea that it's okay to disagree with each other. It doesn't
Yes.
mean we hate you. It doesn't mean we want to kill you. It
Yep.
just means that you have an opinion and I have an opinion, and we can agree to disagree. But.
Yeah. Well, here we are in the almost the second end of the second week of this bizarre election campaign, and there's a whole lot of policy issues that are quite disturbing. We have a fellow who drops in from England and suddenly is the prime minister that no one ever heard of,
Well,
literally
Prime Minister
3 months
in
ago.
name.
Yes, yes. But Bob, he's making decisions of significant impact on Canadians'
When he's not even
well-being,
elected.
and
There
he's
is no
not
parliament,
elected by anybody except his own party to
and there's
be,
no parliament.
and there's no parliament. And in fact, Joe Rogan pointed this out in a podcast that I was watching today, or snippets of one, where he basically says Canada's got some wacky government system, and he points out just exactly what we're talking about here. How in the heck do you do this? And how can you take a country seriously that just slaps its knee and decides we're going to make somebody from central casting, so these are my words, in my opinion, suddenly he's prime minister. And by the way, he actually thinks he is going to be the prime minister meeting with the president of the United States on the 29th of April because, oh, sorry, somebody who's going to be the prime minister. Like it's almost like this guy is so self-assured that it's a done deal, which is why I keep coming back to I think we're being gaslit all over the place here. And
Yeah.
I may be wrong and that'll be great. If I'm wrong, fine. But I think there's something very, very strange about this whole setup here, where things are being said and done without any recourse whatsoever to the courts, to
Yeah.
the legislation. I mean, it's just very, very
Well,
strange.
there's,
And
yeah. And coupled with that, of course, is the fiasco of the trial for the Freedom Convoy
yeah,
people. I see that they were found not guilty on a great many of the charges, but the Crown
conspiracy.
is appealing the house arrest sentence of one of them because they wanted to give him 10 years. And I'm
I
thinking,
know, for
like,
mischief,
yeah,
for mischief.
well, yeah, okay, that's what the criminal code says. It can be up to 40, whatever it is. That's
Yeah,
fine. But my God, these are people that are run of the mill everyday John Q. Publics. They're not serious criminals. They're
yeah,
they're not heinous criminals. And here we have, well, we'll bargain down your murder charge to accidental homicide if you plead guilty.
yeah.
Just
The,
anyway,
the,
that's another issue.
well, the real problem here is that they brought this verdict in today, I believe. And okay, we're in the middle of a federal election. The very people who created this mess are asking for the vote of the people again for a fourth time around.
Mhm.
And I wonder how much influence they're going to try and exert on the courts or on the judge that's going to have to deal with this because the penalty hasn't been meted out yet.
Yeah.
And this is very dangerous stuff because without any foretelling of what will happen here, if they decide they're going to make an example of these two because it looks good to the base, uh, this will not play well in Western Canada or anywhere for that matter. It certainly
Well,
won't
it
play.
shouldn't play
Won't,
anywhere.
it
Yeah.
won't play well with me. On the other hand, if they decide that they're going to exert pressure and postpone this verdict, not the verdict, but the penalty
Citizen.
phase, yeah, till after the election, then that sends another kind of cold message out, which means that the judiciary is being manipulated for political reasons. These guys can't win either way. But when I look at the way mainstream media is playing this out on the airwaves, they are very timid, extremely timid, if not silent about well, what because they don't want the hand that feeds them to be bitten by the
Yeah.
reality here. So, again, neither of us are lawyers, but just common sense and fair play would suggest that there's something amiss here.
Well, I read that where the Crown wanted 10 years, and I'm thinking, you don't even ask for life sentences for murderers anymore. It's just where is your head at? I mean, to me, this just shows that it's out and out a political witch hunt. Or
Their head's in an orifice in their pants. That's where their head's at.
yeah,
Sorry to be so
graphic.
illustrative. All right. Well,
Anyway,
we're here. We are, like I say, almost the second week, and so far, our initial prognosis was, keep calm, carry on, and this will all unfold. It seems to be doing just that. My question is, when will they put the liquor back on the shelves that came from the U.S.? Because suddenly, Mr. Ford, who is the premier of this province, is going on American TV and saying, we can tomorrow we can get rid of those tariffs, not a problem. I'm thinking, well, you took you 24 hours to get rid of my favorite hooch. Jack Dan, you took that off real quick. You talk about running around with your hair on fire. Nothing was even done. Now it turns out nothing was done, and you look like a fool because 3 weeks ago you were threatening to cut off the power. You were threatening to do all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
Now all of a sudden, oh, let's just we can stop this immediately right now, and everything will be hunky dory.
Well, there's lots of that to go. I mean, we're out here right now. We abolished our carbon tax on the 1st of April. Again, April Fool's Day. Synonymous? I don't know. And the 2 weeks prior to this carbon tax going off, our gas went up, surprisingly, 18 cents.
Well, that's because you had to get the summer blend.
No, but the carbon tax came off and we're down to what we were 2 weeks ago.
Well, here they raised the gas in town here by 4 cents 3 days before this carbon tax removal was done. It went to 153 for no particular reason, and today it's at 139. You raise it to bring it down. Well, it wasn't 20 cents, was it?
Well, we are, believe it or not, $1.89.
My goodness, I believe you.
Yeah.
Wow.
More and more government interference.
Yeah. Well, anyway, things are unfolding as they shouldn't.
I guess, as they shouldn't. That's right.
All right. Well, look, this is a short one because we can't belabor a nothing burger. We'll have to see what these guys come up with in the coming week, and we'll reconvene to overlook the obvious here.
Well, that's right. And of course, we always stand by, watch out for breaking news, because you may have not heard it first, but you'll hear it from us last.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, you take care. Stay safe. Have a great weekend, and
you as well.
We'll keep the antenna up and the power turned on, and we'll see. See what happens. All right, Bob.
Take care.
You too. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.